After 3 years of service, Sarah Tucker ended her tenure as Governor of Montserrat on the 8th of April. Her departure was marked with a ceremony at the Johnny Osborne Airport where she, along with her husband Howard Tucker, bade farewell to friends, well-wishers and government officials. A guard of honour consisting of members of the Royal Montserrat Defence Force, Royal Montserrat Police Force and Montserrat Cadet Corps was on display to observe the occasion.
It's been exhausting, I think is the first thing to say, and it's been the most wonderful role that I've had. I say to other people that are asking about what it's like to be a governor within, the organisation, the engagement, and I said it's the most exhausting and the most satisfying and best role you can do. I think it's especially somewhere in Montserrat where you really get to know the people. So it's going to be very hard to leave, I have to say. I've had a few tears already with people being incredibly kind. It's been a very busy 3 years. Mm-hmm. We've worked a lot, and being the first governor that's in the FCDO role, so doing the development side, it's a lot of work. So you're doing the governance and you're doing the programme role. But my background, I've really enjoyed that in terms of getting stuck in with the projects and things. So, and we have an amazing team here to work with, both in my office and across the public service. So it's been challenging, but it's been really rewarding, and I'm going to miss it.
Former Governor Tucker arrived in 2022, succeeding Andrew Pearce. She was present for several notable events, including the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II and the coronation of His Majesty King Charles III. The former governor was also present for a change in government at Montserrat's general election in 2024.
I would first like to congratulate the United Alliance Party, Mr. Reuben T. Mead and all of his party members in gaining 5 seats in yesterday's election and a clear majority to form His Majesty's government today. The people of Montserrat have elected you as their government, and I look forward to working with you and supporting you for the continued betterment of Montserrat.
Government and governance is continual, so working with 2 administrations, that's been interesting. And, for the island, it's been a change during the time here. So it's actually quite, for me, I think it was quite good having a governor that was across the 2 and not changing at the same time, so you keep some continuity. But it's, it's a pleasure to support the government, whoever that is. Yeah. And I've been lucky, I think, because we've had good relationships and positive relationships, and we work together for the benefit of Montserrat. That was I set out to do, was to work with Montserrat, to do what I could, whether that's here or reaching back to the UK, and I hope that's what I'll be remembered for.
During her time as governor, Sarah Tucker achieved many accomplishments that impacted both the public and private sectors. These accomplishments included overseeing advancements in economic development, infrastructure, and public services.
Yeah, so I set out, I think, when I came in, it was all about good governance and making sure that my office was delivering in the way that it should. As governor, you sort of head up teams and departments, but, you deliver through them. Yeah. So it's making sure that everything works properly. So we've done a lot of work in terms of policing. And we've now got the FIU, the CFATF, International Finance, sits in the Governor's office. I'd like to apologise to the Attorney General. She's had an awful lot of work to do on legislation, her and her team, and Darren, but they've done an amazing job on FATF. And then working with the prison, with help from MOJ. So really making sure that those constitutional areas are up to scratch, if you like, and staffed properly and have got the support they need, reaching back across Whitehall in the UK, and then working with the public service, which I know some people have found a bit challenging, but you have to, change is hard, I think, and some people don't like it, some people thrive on it. I thrive on it, you might have gathered, but I think there's so much potential for us to do some really good stuff, and you can either do it very slowly and painfully, or you can do it quickly and painfully, so often, having pain for a shorter time is probably better, but I think there's been some fantastic achievements in the public service, so really that was always my drive, was to make sure that I get my ducks in a row, if you like, from the Governor's Office perspective, and then on the programmes, getting involved with those, and that's been really fascinating, and seeing the progression, some of the projects being finished. You break ground on Monday with a hospital, which is, when I came in, we were just getting the funding. I'm still going back for more funding, and it was whether we'd be able to do it or not, so here we are breaking ground, so that feels very positive. Other projects, the port project is still challenging, but but that's the same across the world. It's hard to get things delivered, so I think trying to get the governance in there and make sure that that's right.
Of all her accomplishments, Sarah Tucker said there is one that stood out.
I think it's really about safeguarding. I think it's really about making sure that we've talked about the difficult things, and people shy away from that the world over because it's hard to call out when things are not right. But I think we are doing that. I think we've had some successes, the police and the prosecutions, and that's hard for families. I know when, one person does something and it impacts on everybody, but I think it's a really positive thing. And when you see what's happening just across the waters in Antigua, incredibly sad, and my heart goes out to the family there and to the community that have been through that recently. We don't want that here in Montserrat. We want to keep our children safe and our elderly, everybody that's vulnerable. So I think for me, if I've managed to start the conversation on safeguarding and that progresses, then I think that's what I'm most proud of. But it's a hard one to say because as a community, we don't really want to talk about things happening to our children, but we have to. It happens everywhere. And the only way to stop it is to stand up for it and to call it out. And my office were talking about something the other day, and it says, do the right thing no matter who's watching. And I think that's what we have to do with safeguarding. So I think for me, that'll be my proudest thing, actually, I think.
However, the journey was not always smooth sailing, as Sarah Tucker was faced with many challenges and difficult decisions, her biggest challenge being a lack of time.
So I think one of the biggest challenges is not having enough time for everything. And so you have to be quite ruthless in your prioritisation. And that's hard because sometimes it means you have to say no to things. And so some people might think I'm not interested in something or I haven't taken part in something, but it's because you can't do everything. And I'm old. I've sort of learned over time that whilst you want to please everybody, you can't. So I think that's been challenging. And then I think just the magnitude of work there is to do is trying to make sure that you move at a pace that everyone can cope with. And that's hard because we're all different. So, and we're all human and we get things wrong. So, and, just getting to know each other, I think we have changing teams and so different personalities, it's always difficult. But, I've enjoyed it. So, well, I think it was difficult to decide not to take the fourth year because I am very passionate about Montserrat and have strived to do everything I can, but I also recognise that you can only run at that pace for a length of time. So Howard and I took the decision after the first year that we wouldn't stay for the fourth year. And you look back and think, did I make the right decision or not? I don't know. But I think we probably did, but that was a hard one to make. And then I think when you make some of the changes that you make, that's difficult because you know that you're going to impact on people's lives, but you have to look at the bigger picture and make sure that you're doing the right thing for Montserrat. So I think there have been, I won't go into details of them, but there have been some decisions I've had to make that are more challenging because of the impact on individuals, but you have to always keep your eye on the fact this is for Montserrat as a total country and not for individuals. So that's always a hard thing, I think. I think the area that I haven't done enough on, and I think that's the bit that I'm really keen that we do more, and I'm delighted that the CMO and PS Camille and I had a meeting with Midlands Trust, and they're working now with the Ministry and with the Minister on mental health support for here, because I think we need an awful lot more of that. So again, it's a global issue, and after COVID it's got even worse. And so I think when I said you about you have to prioritise in different areas and you can only stretch yourself so far. So it's a hard decision. So I've always been a champion of mental health and I talk about mental well-being, and I always say you look after your mental health as much as your physical health. The two go hand in hand. But I wish I'd had more time to do a bit more on that. So that was a difficult decision. Do I champion safeguarding or mental health? Which way do you go? And they're really connected.
Her decisions often came with rumours, speculations, and sometimes heavy criticism from the public.
Abolishing night security at husband our main port of entry. This mother tucker needs an explanation.
Despite these, former Governor Tucker always kept her head up, saying she does not address rumours and believes in always doing what is right. Former Governor Tucker contributed to several initiatives outside of the public service, especially in the development of the youth. As a patron of the Small Beginnings Youth Orchestra, Sarah Tucker created connections with the Guernsey Music Service, as well as the family of the late Sir George Martin, leading to the donation of instruments and provision of a music workshop for the group.
I would like to thank the Lieutenant Governor of Guernsey for his support, and to Tim Wright and the Guernsey Music Service for the enthusiasm, kindness and energy to get this new relationship between Guernsey and Montserrat off the ground. Today we receive a drum kit, violins, violas, clarinets, French horns, cellos and the music to support it all. These will, I know, all be put to good use by Mr. Herman Francis and his supporters and Small Beginnings. And I urge today the parents of the children that attend orchestra to embrace this opportunity, to encourage practice in between classes, and to be very proud of your children for having the courage to start from scratch and learn new music. Please support them, help them continue to develop, and most of all, make sure they have fun.
She even sponsored the group's trip to Antigua for a grand musical showcase where they performed alongside regional and international orchestras. Howard Tucker, also a patron, used his musical abilities to become a teacher and conductor of the orchestra. His interests were also showcased through his weekly classical music radio program.
Hello everybody, Howard here with another classical music show.
The former governor also hosted several children's parties and championed the construction of a youth playground in Little Bay. Sarah Tucker has shown support to Montserratians in the diaspora, on one occasion meeting with actor Stedroy Caby after watching him perform as Mufasa in the London West End show The Lion King. She also backed the Montserrat National Trust in their annual flower show and other projects. Former Governor Tucker has worked closely with other organizations, such as the Pink Ribbon Charity, where she advocated for breast cancer awareness by participating in the annual walk, attending breast health check events, fundraising dinners and community meetings, and contributing financially to the cause.
Pink Ribbon Charity, they themselves have already sent out their thank yous to you.
I was overwhelmed by that, actually.
Yes.
It was lovely. I wasn't expecting that at all.
Yeah, I was asking, what's the feeling like?
It was really wonderful to have a sort of spontaneous thank you like that, and they've done so publicly. So I'm very grateful to them for that. I've enjoyed working with them. I do think it's incredibly important. I have a family that's affected by cancer. You make sure that you do all you can. And they talk about mental health. Exercise is my way of dealing with my mental health. So, I get two bangs to the buck, if you like. But they're a great team. And along with them and the Red Cross and Helping Hands for Glendon, I think we've got some amazing people that work together for the real benefit of Montserrat. So anything that we can do to lend our name to that or to support it has been a real pleasure. But I was really taken aback. It was really delightful.
In her last speech to Parliament, the governor gave remarks on her time in Montserrat and thanked the Premier and ministers for their support.
Madam Speaker, when I was sworn in on April the 6th, 2022, I made a pledge then to serve the people of Montserrat to the very best of my ability for every minute I am here, and it is something I have consistently sought to do. It has not always been easy, and of course some decisions one has to make are not always popular at the time, and we do all make mistakes and learn. But I can say with my hand on my heart that everything I have done has been with the intention of supporting this island and the wonderful people who live here. In every public service in the world, there is always the need to improve, to modernise and to better serve the people. Here in Montserrat it is no different. There is a need to work at pace to ensure we have the right capability and capacity to deliver the work of His Majesty's elected government. And Madam Speaker, this development of the public service is hard for those trying to design it, for those trying to work through it, and for those who need to change as part of it. I know, Madam Speaker, that there are some in the public service that have and continue to struggle with the transition. And I would like to commend the Honourable Deputy Governor, Mrs Lindorna Sweeney, for the work she has embarked on to ensure that all of those that are able and willing will get the support and training they need. Progress is positive, and I recognise many of the public service who have taken the challenges we have set them and pushed forward, stretching outside their comfort zone to be the best they can be. Madam Speaker, I have been fortunate to work with two administrations, and both have set out ambitious plans for Montserrat and its future. And I have done all that I can in my role as Governor to support the government in its ambitions and to use my voice within the UK government to assist in accessing both funds and expertise. Madam Speaker, leadership is hard and partnership is even harder for all concerned when there are keyboard warriors and experts in every field available to tell the Governor and the government what they should do and to seek divergence. Madam Speaker, I would like to thank the Premier and his team for their support in my constitutional areas, and I hope that they will reflect that I have done all I can to support them in their endeavours, and that together we have worked closely, recognising and respecting differences, Madam Speaker, but never losing sight of our collective purpose, which is to serve the people of Montserrat to the very best of our collective ability.
As the dust settles, former Governor Tucker leaves the people of Montserrat with these parting words.
keep going. I think look forward, not back. So it's, of course we look back this year, 30 years from the volcanic crisis, but we've grown so much from then. And we need to move forward now. So I think I would encourage people to keep pushing forward and believe in ourselves. And we are a land of opportunity. So we should take them and not talk about the fact that it's difficult, but talk about the things we can do. So I think more positivity and keep going forward.
Sarah Tucker is succeeded by Harriet Cross, who will be sworn in as Governor of Montserrat on the 23rd of April 2025.